Industrial Revolution, beer, a steroid-fueled bugman pursuing us, and back-breaking unpaid labor. Hello again, and welcome back to Kenshi, where today we're building a fucking wall. Why, you ask? Well, all will become clear very soon. It's been, a little while since the last video, and we've got a lot of people who have joined the channel since then. So to recap things, last time we finally took down the United Cities, one of the main factions in the game, and captured their scumbag leader, Emperor Tengu. For the last few months, however, Tengu's enforcer Eyegore has been after us. Now I've been on the run, moving from town to town, drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, and laying low while the heat dies down. So for now, I'm just going to— Oi, it's him! Get him! Okay, I think we're good. Allow me to explain a bit more. We had expected Tengu's abduction to be the end of things with the United Cities, but like a kid with his mother's credit card, Eyegore has gone absolutely wild, spending Tengu's remaining cash. Unfortunately for us, it's not Fortnite skins Eyegore is buying, but instead he's been hiring some of the most notorious mental patients, mercenaries, and sex offenders from across the map, all to join his little militia and hunt us down. Luckily, our wheat fields have allowed us to mass produce wheat bales, build decoy towns, and squad members. That was until Gorilla Gordon took most of the wheat a couple nights ago and crafted it into a huge bowl of Weetabix to fuel his hulking, testosterone-fueled mass. With Eyegore hot on our tail and only a couple of decoy towns left, it won't be long before Eyegore finds our true base. So today we're going to face Eyegore head-on and build a giant wall along the way to secure our territory and permanently put an end to the United Cities. We start by placing the blueprints for the wall right outside our base and then stretch it all the way down through the swamp to the south coast, where I pass Slave Farm South, home of none other than Kleenex from my very first Kenshi video. Now, truthfully, I could have grabbed Kleenex at any point, but simply haven't, mainly due to sadistic pleasure. But after being stuck in the camp for 1,000 days of in-game time, as well as around a year of real-life time, it's finally time for Kleenex's little getaway to come to an end. I sneak into the farm and locate Kleenex. Now, luckily I have extensive experience shoplifting 6-packs of beer, so while initially doubtful about my chances of sneaking Kleenex out, I try to visualize him as a bottle of crisp Asahi beer, and like second nature, I waltz out of the slave farm completely undetected. I head back to the base, drop off Kleenex, where he's completely ignored by everyone and is left staring into space with a blatantly traumatized 1,000-mile stare. Next, I travel up north, where I continue to plan out where the wall will be built. Done. The wall's blueprint now spans from the north to the east coast, so it's time to start building. Unlike China's first emperor, who built the Great Wall of China using whatever resources he could get hold of at the time, I have the luxury of being able to produce premium grade building materials. But like however, I have the luxury of a large, expendable, unpaid workforce to construct the wall. So expendable, in fact, that I can simply build over any who slow down or get in the way. Thing is, I like my squad, and I don't want to subject them to a life in the war if I can avoid it. Although I am happy to introduce them to the horrors of the Industrial Revolution, so I convert the base into a manufacturing compound designed to produce endless amounts of building materials. Now, with the air dense with smog and the local area wrung dry of resources like a wet flannel, I start to work on the wall, where I extend it out to Venge. And once on the other side, I begin to realize the logistical issues of lugging metric tons of construction materials out into the desert just to build 1 or 2 sections of my wall. So once again, I come crawling back in desperation to the reliability of my original base. I gather my hivers up and send them out to go set up some more resource production areas nearer to the north side of the wall. But when I get there, I find the opposite of what I wanted, even less wall. For some reason, most of my base's perimeter had completely disappeared. Here, my game crashed and refused to start up again without crashing.
Start Kenshi.
No.
What?
I pulled a classic Steam move and verified my game files, which seemed to forcefully remove some of my mods, but on the upside, my walls were back.
Oh, let's go! That's class!
but so was Eyegore. With barely any time left to prepare before he arrived, I couldn't even get my gate repaired, and so Eyegore and his army charged in and managed to defeat every member of the squad, including Beep. Most were killed, but the few who survived were taken prisoner, and to make matters worse, as Heng had recently been destroyed and locked off, the enemy AI bugged out and simply carried us around the area in a continuous loop. Now, a few things became clear to me here. Firstly, the game seemed to be registering my original base as my main base, which would explain why Eyegore hadn't attacked my actual main base in Shem yet. Secondly, Eyegore attacks only seemed to trigger when members of my squad were in the area, which leads on to my main point. Entering this area here is basically a death trap. Because of this, instead of building a new base to produce building materials in the area, I headed to Flats Lagoon, where I bought as many of the biggest backpacks I could afford, which was not many, as I had spent all of the money I had acquired from selling drugs out in the swamp on our war campaign, as well as beer and Deliveroo orders to the base. And now I owed over 12 million to Halifax in my overdraft. Not an ideal series of events, but I could work with it. With some more backpacks and a few new members on the builder team, I continued slow progress on the wall, this time out in the swamp, because apparently the swamp isn't laggy enough and needs a huge walk running through it. Once out of the swamp, building the rest of the southern wall was easy in comparison. So with that done, we headed back to the base, rested for a bit, and then moved out, ready to take down another slave farm and imprison the leader. By taking down settlements, we could not only weaken the United Cities, but also increase the stats of my army. And so we repeated the process a few times, charging in and taking the leaders back to the prison tower at my base. A lot of the United Cities' bases were destroyed, and our walls were beginning to border on Eyegore's territory. So with enough fighting experience from raiding bases, we were ready to take down Eyegore and save Beep and the other hivers. Once again, we went back to Shem, restocked, grabbed some hashish to mong out on before the big fight, and headed back to the original base near Heng. We get back to the base, where Eyegore seems to have anticipated our arrival by senselessly rambling about us capturing Tengu. As an act of mercy, we impulsively charge in to squash Eyegore and put an end to his nonsense. While the others are busy cartoonishly fighting, I lead Eyegore out of the base for a much needed 1v1 with Gorilla Gordon. Gordon was down, but not defeated, so once he regained consciousness, I chased after Eyegore, the most mentally deranged members of my squad, and instigated another fight. And after a long struggle, Beep gets his revenge for his fallen comrades by dealing the finishing blow, and Eyegore crumples like an accordion. A few more of his men are defeated, and Eyegore is treated to a personal escort back to Shem on Beep's shoulder. As the cherry on top of the food cube cake, Eyegore's dream is finally fulfilled, as he's reunited with Tengu in the prison tower, who somehow hasn't escaped despite the base only being defended by a completely vacant Kleenex and his band of mangled friends. Now, with the north of the map safe to travel through, once again we resume work on the wall to block off trade routes, split up natural habitats, and ruin the environment with the construction of our cold, sterile wall. We finish building the final section, and it is complete. We've achieved our goal of making Kenshi a safer place, even if it meant the death of countless unpaid workers, as well as the eradication of an empire which brought stable jobs and food to thousands of citizens. In the end, it was worth it, now that they are safely divided by our monumental wall and are vulnerable to our total oppression. At least now we can have some fun with our new friends. Now, Eyegore's skills are a bit too good to waste, so I decide to leave him in prison, where maybe we have a chance to convince him to join our side. But for now, we take the others off to Skin Bandits and Acid Lakes. Finally, we load Tengu up into a cannon, fire him off to the cannibal plains where he belongs.